Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. Sudan is celebrating as the country's military council and a coalition of opposition groups have reached an agreement to share power ahead of a nationwide election. Thousands of people took to the streets early on Friday morning as the news broke. People cheered and sang as the deadlock in negotiations finally ended. Sudan has been in turmoil since the military ousted President Omar al-Bashir in April, with around 100 people dying in violent clashes. But now military leaders have reached an agreement with the opposition alliance to share power until elections can be held.
I am praying for mercy for our martyrs and children who brought us this victory. Thank God the victory has eventually come. The feeling is indescribable.
An Iranian official has said a British oil tanker should be seized if a detained Iranian ship is not released. British Royal Marines helped officials in Gibraltar to seize the supertanker Grace 1 on Thursday after it was suspected of carrying oil from Iran to Syria in breach of EU sanctions. Iran later summoned the British ambassador in Tehran to complain about what it said was a form of piracy. Mohsen Rezai said in a tweet, "If Britain does not release the Iranian oil tanker, it is the authorities' duty to seize a British oil tanker." A German boat has rescued 65 migrants from an overloaded dinghy off the Libyan coast. CI, which operates the vessels, said in a statement that the migrants were picked up 34 miles from Libya and had insufficient water and no navigation system on board. The migrants are now receiving care on board the ship. The vessel has already been warned off from going to Italy by Interior Minister Matteo Salvini. The European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker says the process to appoint his successor, Germany's Ursula von der Leyen, was not transparent. The German defence minister is the first woman to be proposed for the top job. Mr. Juncker added that his appointment 5 years ago was transparent, as he was chosen by leaders after having campaigned in European elections.
Yes, the process was not very transparent. But the process which led to my nomination in 2014 was very transparent, because we had lead candidates. Everyone knew what will happen if this party or that party would be the strongest party in the European Parliament. It's sufficient to come back to what unfortunately didn't become a tradition. I said in the European Council the other day that I always had the impression that I would enter history, but not like that, because I'm a very unique guy. I was the first and the last Spitzenkandidat.
A car bomb in southern Turkey has exploded, killing 3 people near the border with Syria. The explosion took place in the town of Reyhanli. Turkish media quoted the local governor as saying the cause of the explosion was being investigated. 1 person was also wounded in the blast. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said initial findings showed the explosion may be terror-related. Southern California has been hit by its strongest earthquake in 2 decades. Deep cracks opened across the Mojave Desert near Ridgecrest, which was the epicenter of the 6.4 magnitude tremor. Firefighters provided medical assistance and dealt with fires in and around the city. Oh my God! Stores and buildings were also damaged due to the quake, which was the strongest to hit Southern California in 25 years.
Everything started shaking, and like maybe 15 seconds, and it was really intense, because I was like, oh my God, what to do? And I ran to my living room and I hid myself under the table, and I was holding myself next probably, I don't know, 10 seconds, and everything was shaking, you know.
Scary, very scary. But then someone in the hotel said it's just an earthquake, it will go away.
It was crazy. I just woke up, my bed was shaking, I fell off, I was scared.
And finally, about 80 baby sea turtles were released into the wild from a beach on Indonesia's Bali island. Locals and tourists attended the event, with children handed an individual hatchling to set free from the top of the beach. It's as conservationists in the region continue to battle against wildlife poaching. The local fishermen protected the eggs in their nest in the sand before they hatched on Monday. And that's your international news around the world in 5.